very senior bureaucrat. Can I invite the Principal Secretary of Meghalaya, Sampath Kumar? So I wanted to ask one question. Many of our guests from outside the country do not know that the exam that he had to pass to become an Indian bureaucrat is an extremely, I think, one of the toughest exams in the world to pass. And then you pass that and you become an Indian bureaucrat, and then you go into, you're put in different area. So before you wrote that exam, you had romantic terms of I'm going to be an IS? Because normally people say, no, कि Andhra se IS में तो dowry ज़्यादा होता है.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me, and also thank you for this honor to speak before the distinguished audience. So this question, I think all of you, as Harishji was telling you, IAS actually has, in India, especially the Indian Administrative Service or the Civil Service, we call it popularly, is a very, it's a kind of a very, I would say, especially maybe I don't know the current generation, maybe it's still, I feel it's one of the services where you can make a huge difference. So this actually has come from a lot of legacy. We have this Indian civil service before the freedom that we achieved. So it has a lot of legacy. So because of the legacy, there is a lot of credibility about this institution. So those who wanted to come into this particular thing, like many people, like those who wanted to change the system, they really wanted to get into the system. So one of the aspirations was that, like, in fact, I was talking to a lot of people, like when we think about bureaucracy or government, how to actually solve simple problems for the people, So basically, when you enter with that kind of an idea, okay, if I go, I'll remove this,
problem.
These problems,
Did
I
you remove
this
it?
corruption, I remove this, everything that is there in the system. So we generally, with that aspiration, we get into the service. In fact, I was also like one of those, young persons, with that kind of a dream that I entered into the service.
Did you succeed?
Yeah.
No, the second part.
Yeah. So yes, I think one thing, it's a very phenomenal journey for me. So it's actually I went into one of the troubled states. It's a northeastern state, where you really have to make an effort. Unlike in Andhra Pradesh, where in Andhra Pradesh or like in Karnataka, the moment you're an IAS, you are immediately, accepted. So in the sense, accepted means there is a lot of, so when you go to a troubled state, you need to actually build your own credibility. It's like not that your legacy that actually your institution is bringing, you have to actually, you need to reach out to the people, solve problems, build credibility. But it's phenomenal. Once you build credibility, the kind of an authorization that you get is phenomenal. Yeah, in fact, that's something I believe. In fact, I wanted to tell you about the corruption. One of the things that someone was saying, about, the challenges of, So what we did, in fact, when I was DC or collector, we did the social audit act. That's something in the governance discussion also, where we could able to, completely remove a lot of leakages in the rural development sector. And that became now a later, with the political support, we brought a social audit legislation in the state. Meghalaya is the only state as on today to have a social audit legislation. In the sense, you have, where people can actually audit what government is doing. Just one example. I'm just saying. Yeah.
No, thank you. We have also in the audience, though I'm not going to embarrass him, one of the youngest politicians of this country. Darshan Putania, please you get up. He's the member of the Legislative Assembly of the state of Karnataka. 20 years as a, guess what, 20 years of merger and acquisitions in Colorado. And then left that and has stood for elections and won. He's in the local assembly. So why I want to ask you questions is normally the bureaucrats blame the politicians and he said the politicians blame the bureaucrats. So So your respect and your how do you tackle the political class?
Yeah. So this is something that fortunately, I've learned slightly early. Not many people have this opportunity to learn how to work with the political leadership. It's so important because our organization, most of the officers, they still think of that legacy issues, right? Because people also have the legacy issues. People also believe that it is the bureaucracy, or it is the IAS officer, it is the collector who is going to, a lot of credibility is still there. But actually now after freedom, we got the authorization from the people. So the authorization is our political leadership. So learning to work with political leadership is very, very important. In fact, and actually it sustains. There is a lot of studies are there. You can have you can be a very, you can call it like a, there is a terminology. In fact, Land Pritchett, he tells about this kind of, bureaucrat-led reforms. They might not sustain for a longer period. But if you work with the political leadership, and build bring the reforms. The way I said, I did social audits, but once we brought the social audit legislation, and if it is getting implemented, it sustains. So it's very important to learn to, respect that where actually the authorization is coming from. The authorization is coming from the citizens, right? The people. So the people are electing a political leadership. So that's something that everyone, I always tell, my younger colleagues, and it really, in fact, I'll just tell you one of the examples. Maybe you are aware, like we did, he said it's not to talk about any work, but I wanted to say, Hariji, with Selco Foundation, we in fact solarized all the health facilities today. But I wanted to say, like, Meghalaya is one state which is spending close to 9% of the state budget on healthcare. So it's the only state which is actually spending more than 8% of the mandated budget by the Finance Commission. So it's all because, again, of political supportability. If you build that, if they see that there is a value, so whatever you brought the support, it is leveraged multiple times. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So Darshan, either you have to stand from Meghalaya or you'll have to shift to Karnataka.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. So the final question was that some of the frustrations a lot of the youngsters have is when an IS officer gets transferred.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have the same frustration?
Yeah. No, in fact, to be frank, like, I'll tell about my frustration before that. I wanted to tell general perception. Definitely, if you are getting involved into any job like any other, it's like when you are getting transferred, and that too in the middle of the work, it's like you crash. In fact, sometimes it affects you badly. It affects your health. It affects sometimes many. This is the fact. Actually, we have been seeing that. And in fact, myself, I wanted to tell you, when I was shifted from like UP to, I was on an assignment in UP working for the large, poverty reduction project. And, so it's a tough thing in between leaving the project and coming and, but you'll overcome. But definitely that's in fact, I would say you require, a lot of support, for officers who actually pass through these kind of a thing, so that, they get remotivated or motivated to again, do it well in the next assignment. So it's something we should, of course, I myself, I went for a Vipassana actually to overcome that situation.
So when you criticize the IS officers, think about they are also human beings, and the politicians who are human beings who stand. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sampath ji,
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent.